A tragic and unexpected death occurred one day after Frank Sutton told his wife his secret. American actor Frank Sutton is well remembered for playing the stern, no-nonsense Sergeant Vince Carter in the 1960s sitcom Gomer Pyle, USMC. Sutton, who was born in Clarksville, Tennessee, on October 23, 1923, developed an early love for performing. He was first exposed to theater through his involvement in school productions, and it was during this period that he fell deeply in love with acting. His mother was a stay-at-home mom, and his father operated a linotype machine at the neighborhood newspaper. Sutton's small-town upbringing in the South instilled in him a strong work ethic and a love of storytelling, traits he took throughout his acting career. Sutton showed an innate gift for acting from the start. He participated heavily in play clubs during his high school years, which gave him invaluable stage experience. After high school, he continued his studies at Columbia University in New York, where he specialized in drama, as his passion for the craft deepened. This decision was crucial because it transported him from a little Tennessee hamlet to the center of one of the most famous theater scenes in the world. Sutton was able to refine his abilities, improve his stage presence, and gain an understanding of the complexities of the performing arts throughout his time at Columbia. His early exposure to classical plays and Shakespeare's works would later influence how he approached the character roles that brought him fame. When the United States entered World War II, Sutton's life drastically changed. Sutton paused his job to serve his nation, as many young men of his generation do. During the war, he joined the U.S. Army and served in the South Pacific. Sutton was profoundly impacted by the war, which gave him a strong sense of self-discipline and fortitude. His most famous roles, especially that of Sergeant Carter, would later be shaped by these attributes. His military service also helped him develop the dominating and authoritative personality he would infuse into his fictional characters. Sutton found comfort in amusing his fellow soldiers, frequently doing skits or impersonations to cheer them up despite the brutal realities of combat. In addition to molding his personality, his duty gave him insight into military life, which would be extremely helpful to him as an actor. Sutton was resolved to follow his dream of being a professional actor when he returned to New York City after the war. But like many would-be entertainers, he had a hard time making a name for himself in the fiercely competitive entertainment business. In order to make ends meet, Sutton took on a number of odd jobs while trying out for television, radio, and theatrical parts. Sutton continued to be dedicated to his trade in spite of the failures, going to acting classes and making connections with pros in the field. When he started getting small parts in live television dramas in the early 1950s, often referred to as the golden age of television, his persistence paid off. When Sutton was chosen to play gunnery Sergeant Vince Carter on Gomer Pyle, USMC, an Andy Griffith Show spin-off, in 1964, it was his big break. Since Sergeant Carter became one of the most adored characters on television in the 1960s, the part would forever define Sutton's career. Sutton's portrayal of Sergeant Carter was the ideal counterpoint to Jim Nabors' charming but incompetent Private Gomer Pyle. Audiences were enthralled by Carter's booming voice, rugged demeanor, and unending annoyance with Gomer's pranks. Even though Carter was stern and frequently screamed at Gomer, their connection was charming and realistic because of the obvious affection that existed beneath the surface. Both military veterans and civilians found resonance in Sutton's portrayal of the tough drill sergeant because he gave the part heart and sincerity. Sutton's rise to national prominence was sparked by the popularity of Gomer Pyle, USMC. Sutton rose to fame over the 5 seasons of the show, which aired from 1964 to 1969. He received praise from critics and admiration from people nationwide for his performance. Sutton was adored by his co-workers and fans for being a compassionate and kind person off-screen, despite his tough on-screen character. Sergeant Carter was one of the most recognizable figures of the time because of his ability to strike a mix between humor and harshness. Following the conclusion of Gomer Pyle, USMC, Sutton kept up a steady career in theater and television. Sutton pursued a range of jobs to demonstrate his versatility as an actor, even though he would always be linked to the role of Sergeant Carter. He showed his flexibility in both funny and dramatic parts by appearing in a number of TV series, such as The Twilight Zone, Gunsmoke, and The Untouchables. Sutton also made a comeback to the stage, his first love, where he appeared in a number of shows, such as The Andersonville Trial and The Odd Couple. He demonstrated he was much more than simply a sitcom star with his critically acclaimed theater work. Sutton was a multifaceted actor who could give strong performances in a variety of genres. Success characterized Sutton's career, while stability and family commitment characterized his personal life. In 1946, he wed Toby Igler, his undergraduate sweetheart, and the two stayed together until his tragic passing. Sutton was renowned for being a devoted husband and parent, and the pair had 2 kids. Despite the pressures of his job, he put his family first and lived a quiet life away from the spotlight. Sutton made a lasting impression on American television with his commitment to his craft and his portrayal of well-known characters. His reputation as one of the greatest character actors of his day was cemented when Gomer Pyle, USMC reruns continued to expose new generations to his work even decades after his death. A tragic and unexpected death occurred one day after Frank Sutton told his wife his secret. Frank Sutton knew that his disease was permanent, therefore he kept it a secret for a long period until he passed away. According to his wife and kids, Toby M. Igler, Frank Sutton was a good man who loved them very much. Every time Frank Sutton had a heart attack, he kept it a secret from everyone. Before he passed away, he claimed to have heart disease, although he did not specify when it started. He had a premonition of an unforeseen catastrophe that would lead to his own death. It also explains why he loves his wife so much. According to Toby M. Igler, "I feel sorry for him because at this point, all we have left are pleasant memories of one another." On June 28, 1974, Sutton tragically suffered a heart attack while getting ready for a live concert in Shreveport, Louisiana, ending his life. His untimely death stunned his admirers in the entertainment industry at the age of just 50. Sutton was still in great demand as an actor at the time of his death, and there were no indications that his career would slow down. Many believed there would never be another actor like him, so his passing created a hole in the television comedy industry. In the years that have passed, Sutton's co-stars, especially Jim Nabors, have spoken highly of him and his close friendship, as well as their mutual respect. Fans of classic TV continue to honor Frank Sutton's contributions to television and his iconic portrayal of Sergeant Vince Carter. His portrayal of Gomer Pyle, USMC, is still praised for its masterful blending of humor and nuanced character development. Drawing on his personal military background, he gave the position legitimacy and left a lasting impact. There are memorials to Sutton in his hometown of Clarksville, Tennessee, including a theater bearing his name. Fans of 1960s television will never forget Frank Sutton as Sergeant Carter, the harsh yet endearing character who could make him laugh and care at the same time. His legacy is among the greatest of his time, and his work serves as evidence of the ability of television to forge enduring bonds with viewers. Fans, co-workers, and loved ones expressed their sorrow in spades following Sutton's death. When he passed away, the public had become so attached to his service aboard the USMC's Gomer Pyle that it seemed as if they had lost Sergeant Carter himself. Millions of people had laughed and smiled because of Sutton, and his abrupt departure caused a deep feeling of grief. In contrast to the severe disciplinarian he portrayed on TV, his friends and co-stars characterized him as a kind, giving individual. Sutton's passing was especially upsetting to his family. His wife, Toby Igler, and their 2 kids were left to deal with the abrupt and unanticipated loss of a father and husband. The fact that he had been so vibrant and active until the point of his collapse added to the shock of his death. His passing at the comparatively young age of 50 further highlighted how fleeting life is, especially for celebrities whose personal hardships are sometimes hidden from the general public.